Hello, Crafty Crandall here. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about this painting that I did for a book scene. I was reading the book The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks when I came across a passage that just was so vivid as I was reading it that I had to paint it. It was an absolute must. And so I figured, why not make a video of it, combining my love for art and my love for books all in one. I hope that you enjoy this video. Let me know if you like this format of video as far as the bookish and art-related content all in one. And without any further ado, let's hop into this painting. This painting is for a scene around the 500 page mark, chapter 75, as you saw me flip through in the beginning of the video. I just wanted to read quickly the passage that kind of begins to illustrate the scene such that you can hear what my reference for this really was. I won't get too far into the book plot as it is the third book in the Black Prism series, and so I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I think that this passage can be read without any spoilers kind of being given away, but also kind of illustrate for you what I am painting. The passage, starting on page 522, right at the beginning of chapter 75, states, "Shelves of a curious, luminous redwood marched in lines to the horizon. Leagues of shelves, each 5 or 6 times the height of a man. Kip's eyes traced the lines of a nearby shelf loaded with the new pressed books up and up. There were ladders on rollers to reach the higher shelves, but there was no ceiling. The night sky itself gleamed high above, undistorted, stars unwinking, clearer than Kip had ever seen them." And so that really was my inspiration for this piece, along with the other transgressions that kind of happen in the scene that I won't get into because they will contain spoilers. But I was just really blown away with Brent Weeks' writing in this story and just how avidly he was able to bring this story alive. Particularly this scene just really gripped me with his language because it was kind of an ethereal scene and his language just really changed the whole mood of the book, and it was really incredible. So I wanted to illustrate that here, and I kind of started with some perspective issues and carried on from there. So I did the sketch completely off camera because the sketch, to be honest, took absolutely forever and took many iterations of pulling out my perspective book, trying to figure out what the perspective would be, and then ultimately going with what I have here in front of you. The night sky was clearly the most important part of the illustration for me, and it was definitely the most fun part to work on. The next part was trying to establish all of the details in this piece. There were so many shelves, and I was trying to just draw books and scrolls across all of them, and it was a journey. I also want to point out that there was another section of the reading in the very beginning where he's setting the scene where it states that an explosion of texts, a blunderbuss blast of thought flew through the aether of every language and collided with the medium of its time. In that the floating objects that you see in front of the bookshelf are what is being described there. So those are all in context, along with the figures. The one who is kneeling is Kip, and then the other one I won't tell you who it is because that gives something away. But the whole book is just amazing. And the language that Brent Weeks used is just really why I continue to read these books. If you don't know, the Black Prism series by Brent Weeks is basically surrounding a multitude of characters as they are tasked with a magical system of being able to manipulate light. So Gavin Guile, who is known as the Prism, he can manipulate every form of light, so all of the different spectrums and colors of light. And Kip Guile, whom was in this passage, is his son, essentially, who can also is also a what is called full spectrum polychrome, meaning that he can manipulate all forms of light. However, doing so with a toll on his body, whereas Gavin, when he quote unquote drafts light, he does not have a toll on his body because of his position as the prism. Lots more to explore there. The series is extremely good, but definitely a commitment if you're interested in reading it. The books are all like 700-800 pages long, and there are 5 of them, so it is definitely a commitment, but one that has been worth it thus far for me in my reading journey. To touch a little bit further on my reading journey, as I mentioned that I would during my 1-year celebratory video, which if you haven't seen it, I will link it above for you. But in that video, I touched on why I have not posted as much book-related content as I have art-related content, and so I just wanted to give a quick update. Thus far, I've read, I think, 6 books this year out of my goal of 30. Given that it is already the 7th month of the year, I don't see myself reading 30 books. I instead see myself potentially finishing the Black Prism series by Brent Weeks, and if I accomplish that along with a couple of other books, I will be content with that. Thus far, the Black Prism and its 2 sequels have definitely been the best books that I've read so far this year, and I will definitely go through a full end of the year wrap up when I have finished with that. You see here me tapping the white gouache for the stars onto the painting. This was far and above the best part of this painting. I absolutely love this method for creating a galaxy and thought that it actually worked out really well as far as adding the stars that Kip describes to the painting. I was really excited to get to do this and thought that it was kind of a fun video element. One thing that I did struggle with in this painting was creating the light that I really wanted to have, like, really prevalent in the painting. Unfortunately, my values just weren't there and just didn't create enough contrast because I didn't want to lose detail in the name of creating contrast, and so I feel like I kind of failed at that in this painting. I then went back through and tried to add white gouache, as you see, to the figure in like the focal point figure of the piece to try to artificially create, if you will, that light. But again, unfortunately, I don't think that it really accomplished everything that I had set out to in this piece. I then went through and used my Faber-Castell fineliner to go ahead and just add some more fine details, as I do think that they were sort of lost in the painting process, even though I did use a graphite pencil instead of my normal coal erase pencil to do all of the line work, so that the line work underneath the paint was a lot more visible than it might normally be in one of my paintings. Overall, this entire process was an exploration into kind of a new journey, like a new wave of my process, trying to get out of my comfort zone in a way and paint something more technical than I necessarily do normally, and just generally trying to improve my skills and get better at painting while exploring a topic that I was really, really excited to paint. Overall, I'm not mad at the result. I think that I did a decent job with it. I am happy with just how the piece looks complexity-wise. I do think that I accomplished kind of the complexity and technical aspects that I was looking for. Again, I really love the sky. It's just the piece did not have as much atmosphere as I was originally going for, so that's something that I will probably look to improve on in the future. I really hope that you have enjoyed watching me paint this piece. If you would like to see more book-related content in the future, please let me know if you are interested in that. Otherwise, most of my content moving forward will be more art-related or art and book combined, such as this video. I really appreciate your feedback. Please enjoy this tape peeling moment that everyone seems to love as I reveal the crisp white edges at the edge of this paper. I used Arches paper, which worked quite well with the tape, so it was not an aggravation, and came up with a final result that I was relatively happy with. If you liked this video, please feel free to give it a like. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel as I post new art and book related content every single Tuesday and occasionally on Fridays. Until then, you guys, I will catch you in the next one. Thank you again for watching. Bye!